Working at a chain salon in the US had its ups and downs. We earned minimum wage plus tips, and our hourly pay increased based on the number of services we provided. One of the downsides was the back-to-school promotion that offered $10 haircuts, an idea that seemed to defy logic since everyone needs haircuts at that time. What made this promotion even more bizarre was the marketing effort. Our manager insisted that we hang a massive 10-foot by 3-foot banner from the roof of our store twice a day, during opening and closing. Balancing on a rickety step stool, trying to secure this banner on the uneven sidewalk, felt like a dangerous circus act. Our manager's rationale? To prevent someone from stealing a banner that proudly proclaimed, $10 haircuts. The real frustration kicked in when payday arrived. I was expecting a decent paycheck, considering my high service dollar per hour, but instead, I found my earnings significantly lower. The reason? That $7 discount for haircuts was being subtracted from our final service dollar calculations. I couldn't just let this slide, so I hatched a plan. One morning, as a coworker, known for her brown-nosing and love of office gossip, and I set up the banner, I seized the opportunity for some petty revenge. As I stood on that unsteady step stool, I casually mentioned that it would be the last time I ever did this. She asked why, and that's when I fed her the carefully crafted lie. I told her, in confidence, that I had accepted a job at another salon with a fixed schedule, higher commissions, and an extra $5 per hour. I claimed I'd initially intended to give a 2-week notice, but the new salon needed me sooner, so I would work the weekend and then vanish. This revelation would leave our salon understaffed for the back-to-school rush. I left work early that day and returned for my next shift when my boss summoned me into her office. She had heard a rumor about my departure and decided to inquire. I reiterated my intentions and stated I'd stay if they could match the offer. She agreed to make a call to our district leader to discuss a raise. I'd later learn that my consistent high sales ranking, number 2 in the store and the district, led to the district leader approving the raise, ensuring I'd stay for another 5 years. The pro-revenge? I began printing my service sales slips from the previous day at the start of every shift. This way, when payroll readjusted paychecks to account for discounts and coupons, I could dispute it using my meticulous records. Payroll insisted they couldn't rectify the situation, but I continued raising the issue sporadically. Years passed, and I only left after the salon reintroduced the $10 haircut sale. A few months after my departure, I learned about a class action lawsuit initiated by an employee in another state. I received a letter inviting me to join. I accepted and provided 5 years' worth of documentation, including emails from corporate and payroll. The settlement was divided among many claimants, but I still received $10,000 in addition to the adjusted pay, which was about half the settlement amount. My meticulous record-keeping had turned a small disagreement into a major payday.
25 years ago, a tragic incident altered the course of a family's life. The untimely death of an aunt left her 2 young cousins, in their early 20s, to navigate life on their own. Wealthy grandparents stepped in to provide support, but they were shrewd and forward-thinking. Recognizing the potential pitfalls of passing on a significant inheritance to young adults, they devised an unconventional plan to safeguard their legacy. The grandparents established a stipulation in their will, one that would have a profound impact on their grandchildren. If a parent passed away before their children reached the age of 30, half of the inheritance would be disbursed to the offspring. The remaining half would only be accessible upon the grandparents' passing. This financial arrangement raised eyebrows and fueled family discussions, yet it was resolute in its intent to encourage responsibility and maturity. With the passing of their aunt, the two cousins received sizable inheritances, compounded by the proceeds from the sale of her house. The younger of the two wasted no time in paying off college loans and investing in property, where she built a life and family. Her dedication to responsible financial choices aligned with the grandparents' intentions. The older cousin, however, took a starkly different route. Despite his initial windfall, he squandered his inheritance recklessly, living extravagantly for a brief moment. Within a mere 6 years, he had dwindled his substantial wealth. His career as a police officer was marred by a lurking substance abuse problem, making his financial situation even more precarious. Meanwhile, his personal life was characterized by a tumultuous relationship with a calculating girlfriend who viewed the grandparents as a cash cow. She had conceived a plan to ensnare her boyfriend through the promise of a substantial inheritance, and within 7 years, they welcomed 3 children into their troubled household. In desperate need of financial support to sustain their lifestyle and growing family, the couple turned to the generous grandparents repeatedly, depleting their goodwill. The family at large, including the narrator's family, was increasingly appalled by their relentless exploitation. A shifting dynamic within the family was set into motion when the narrator, the favorite among the grandchildren, began living with their grandfather. This development frustrated the older cousin and his wife, who saw it as a challenge to their assumed inheritance. Their growing resentment manifested in increasingly vindictive actions meant to push the narrator away. The antagonistic behavior reached a tipping point when they intruded upon the narrator's personal space, allowing their unruly children to vandalize the narrator's room. The narrator's German shepherd, an ever-vigilant guardian, eventually discovered a covertly placed noise-making device intended to create discord and chaos. But the turning point in this tale came when the older cousin's children, under the guidance of their conniving mother, discovered the narrator's gun. A loaded weapon with a chambered bullet posed a dangerous and potentially lethal threat. However, the narrator knew it was virtually impossible for one of the children to have found the key to the locked container, loaded the gun, and chambered a round. The younger children could not have reached the key, leading the narrator to suspect foul play. The ensuing confrontation with the older cousin, who was also a police officer, took an unexpected turn. He not only accused the narrator of recklessness but threatened to have them arrested. A hasty decision was made, forcing the narrator to collect their belongings and leave their grandfather's home. The older cousin seemingly triumphed, believing he had won the battle for the family inheritance. Unfortunately, the situation took a tragic twist when the grandfather passed away from a sudden heart attack at the age of 86. The narrator, who had been reconciling with their grandfather, was devastated. Their bond, once on the mend, had been shattered due to the older cousin's interference. The following months saw the older cousin and his wife ingratiating themselves with the narrator's family, shifting their focus from the grandparents to the narrator's father. Their relentless pursuit of financial gain persisted until it was time to address the will. The dramatic climax of this tale took place during the reading of the will. The grandparents' attorney shared the details with the narrator, their father, mother, and sister, while the two cousins would be briefed separately regarding their share of the estate, as per the grandparents' request. However, a hidden clause held the key to retribution. Within the will lay a clause that would act as a trap for the greedy older cousin. It stated that anyone who attempted to claim more than what was assigned to them would forfeit their entire share of the inheritance. This clause would redistribute the assets equally among the remaining family members. This clause served as a safeguard, ensuring that the distribution of the inheritance would reflect the grandparents' true intentions. It was a warning that anyone trying to game the system would receive nothing. The older cousin, driven by greed, fell into this trap. The narrator meticulously orchestrated a plan to entice the older cousin to their grandparents' house, where a collection of valuable jewelry was placed, but not as a gift to him. While the jewelry was meant to be donated to a charitable auction, the older cousin viewed it as a final opportunity to secure financial gain. He couldn't resist the temptation. Acting on this carefully laid trap, the older cousin arrived at the grandparents' house with the intention of grabbing as much jewelry as possible. In his avaricious pursuit, he collected all the jewelry into shoeboxes, believing he was outsmarting everyone, oblivious to the impending revelation. As he gathered his ill-gotten treasures, the narrator's father, accompanied by the family attorney, stood watching. It became evident that the jewelry was not meant for him. In an instant, the older cousin realized he had been set up by the narrator. But he had outsmarted himself. The conclusion was both poetic and profound. The older cousin lost a significant portion of his potential inheritance in mere minutes, undone by his own greed. His wife later filed for divorce, ending their tumultuous relationship. In the aftermath, he virtually disappeared from the family, shamed and disgraced. While this story may seem like a fairy tale ending, it is underscored by a poignant truth: the family paid a heavy price for their financial disputes, a price far greater than any inheritance. The story's deeper message is that family unity should always outweigh financial gain, and no amount of money is worth the fractures and heartaches that such disputes can inflict.
In a suburban neighborhood, where homes sprawled across land once part of a vast farm, a property owner embarked on a journey of convoluted neighborhood politics that led to a remarkable battle of wits and wills. This epic tale dates back over a decade, and the saga is full of twists, deceptions, and sweet moments of vengeance. The story began with the purchase of a sizable plot of land, nestled away from the main road. The original intention was to develop the land for farming, but those plans were eventually abandoned. Instead, the property owner decided to subdivide the property and construct a spacious house. This move coincided with the birth of an idea among a group of property owners known as the Organized Owners, OO, who envisioned transforming the area into a municipal suburb. The OO, closely linked with a construction company, convinced fellow property owners to develop their plots as part of this new suburban vision. In a seemingly unrelated move, the property owners struck a deal to sell half of their land to one of the OO members, using the proceeds to fund the construction of a new house. However, a tragic event disrupted the plans, as the property owner's mother passed away before the second house could be built. Around this time, the HOA, Homeowners Association, began taking shape. Their primary aim was to enhance security and reduce through traffic by blocking off an old farm road. They wanted the road adjacent to the property owner's land to be the primary entrance. A compromise was reached, allowing the HOA to place a sign and a security guard hut on the property owner's land in exchange for lawn maintenance and a small monthly fee. Over a year later, the property owner received a surprise visit from a neighbor who informed them that their refusal to join the HOA was a missed opportunity. Still, the property owner remained steadfast. The HOA's strategy eventually led them to propose a wall around the entire neighborhood, including the property owner's land. The property owner decided to join, thinking it couldn't hurt. But things took an unexpected turn when the HOA suddenly retroactively canceled the agreed-upon exemptions, demanded late fees, and even wanted reimbursement for the easement they initially purchased from the property owner. This marked the start of a legal battle that played out in court. Throughout the proceedings, the property owner seized upon a hidden clause that allowed them to surrender the easement with 30 days' notice, prompting the HOA to come to the negotiation table. The outcome of the negotiation was a brilliant twist, a new contract with favorable terms for the property owner, including increased compensation, automatic termination clauses, and even the HOA president personally paying legal fees. While the legalities were being ironed out, it was revealed that the HOA's future hung in the balance, as they couldn't legally dissolve without the control of the security gate on the property owner's land. The power dynamic shifted dramatically. This legal standoff seemed to be heading towards a resolution until a minor dispute arose over a paddling pool. The HOA insisted that the pool was an eyesore and should be entirely rebuilt. The property owner presented the HOA with a formidable choice: adhere to the original agreement's standards or face significant financial consequences, all the while ensuring that the property remains a thorn in the HOA's side. The story also uncovered a surprising twist concerning neighbor O's vendetta against the property owner and the legal issues he faced due to his actions. As the tale unfolds, the question remains: will the property owner's vindictive streak remain a driving force behind their dealings with the HOA, or will the property owner decide to play nice, content with the lucrative monthly payments they now receive? This epic narrative is a testament to the cunning, resilience, and the lengths one property owner will go to protect their interests and teach a homeowners association a valuable lesson: